I'm not able to hear Grant, but maybe that's just me.
I can't really hear him either.
Oh, I'm sorry. My
Oh, there
mic
we
was turned down.
go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll start that over. All right. Well, welcome to the meeting, April 13th. Yeah, let's just take a look at some of these events. So tomorrow we're actually having a crossover social with SGDA, which is the basically the EGaDS equivalent at UT Dallas, EGaDS equivalent club, which is pretty cool. They joined our server like a couple months ago, and we said hi, and so now we're having a crossover social. So that's really cool. Just come hang, meet new people. I don't know. We'll probably do some stuff like play broken picture phone. I don't know. It'll be fun. Um, but yeah, it's on. Oh, and it's on Wednesday to accommodate for their social times. But it'll be an hour server, so you don't have to join another server. So it's pretty cool. Once again, we're doing shirt pickup this week. Only on Friday. We'll keep doing this until everybody that can get their shirt will. So please, if you can come this Friday, that would be awesome. Um, and of course, if you need to help getting there, don't hesitate to ask. Uh, yeah, so this Monday is the waifu art workshop. Come learn how to make waifus. I'm excited. Taught by Jake, the creator of EGaDS Chan. Who else could teach the workshop, honestly? I couldn't think of a better person to teach that workshop. But yeah. Yeah, okay. And finally, we announced earlier today that we're accepting applications for EGaDS officers for next year. So check announcements for just for that so you can see the application. And because of department shenanigans, we have to close them pretty early. So try to just make sure you get them in by this Sunday so we can look at them and consider you. So yeah, yeah. Hopefully, we get lots of applications. But anyway, if you haven't joined EGaDS yet, just give us money and we'll give you a shirt. Shirt's really cool as usual. So, and some related orgs. We were at the Animators Club last week. Super chill. Thank you, Zynga. And I assume there's no questions other than, yeah, probably no questions. But anyway, tonight's speaker is Shannon Carr. She is a QA analyst at Certain Affinity and a former EGaDS member, which is super cool. Kind of crazy how we had two former EGaDS members in a row. But yeah, class of 2018, and has also worked at BioWare. So Shannon, you want to take it away? Do you have any slides?
I do. Yes.
Cool. So I'll go ahead and give you permissions to co-host. Or is it? Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, you should be co-host.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Can y'all see that?
Yep.
Cool.
Looks pretty good.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey guys. So my name is Shannon Carr, as just got that little introduction. I'm currently a QA analyst at Certain Affinity. And I've been in the industry for about 2.5 years now. So what I wanted to talk about today, just give a brief introduction about myself, my background, kind of how I got into the industry, where I've worked, and with that, talk about my experience in QA, breaking down some stereotypes and just what it's like to work in QA, and especially at a AAA studio, and some of the roles that comes with that, and also some advice, if y'all want it, and then any questions. Oh, and also in true game dev fashion, I put this presentation together at the last minute, so bear with me if it's a little rough. So just a brief introduction on myself. I have my BS in AET. I transferred into AET at the end of my sophomore year, when AET was first created and began. I came to UT with really no clue what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be. I'd always loved games and art and animation. So when I heard about AET from the department, I just was super drawn to it. I felt like that's something that I'd always been interested in and into, and it just felt right. I originally wanted to be an artist, but I really didn't develop my skills enough in that area, which was completely fine. I love it as a hobby. So I went into AET thinking, maybe I wanted to be a designer. That's pretty cool. And at the time, we were kind of AET's little guinea pigs. AET was still pretty bare bones at the time, but it gave me a decent beginning and foundation that I needed back then, because I had no idea where to even start. I didn't really know games could be a viable career or a job path that I could go down, even though I'd always been interested in the process and games in general growing up, like as a little girl. But then I came across this and it just felt right. So also fun fact, because my last name starts with a C, I was the first person to walk across the stage with an AET degree. And I joined EGaDS late in my junior year, I believe, and was media officer for a semester. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool. So then I graduated in 2018. It took me a few months to find a job. Honestly, it was extremely stressful. So if you're an upcoming senior and you're going through the job search soon, know you're not alone. It does. It will end eventually, the job search. So, but it is extremely stressful. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do still. I did the business foundations at UT, so I thought maybe production would be a good fit for me, but I didn't know. So I saw the job at BioWare and I knew I wanted to be in the industry. So I applied and I got it, and I started at BioWare in the fall of 2018. And then I worked, so I started as a contract QA tester there, and I was put on Anthem. Uh, that was fun. I worked on that for a few months pre-launch and then for a while post-launch. And then after my contract at BioWare ended, one of the old QA managers had moved from BioWare to CA and wanted me to apply there. So I started at CA in fall of 2019. I started as contract QA there as well. And CA, as you might know, is more of a codev studio and doesn't have a publisher, unlike BioWare. So I started on an unannounced mixed reality simulator project, and I'll go into more of these details in a few slides, but after that, I got brought on full time and became QA analyst, which I am now, and worked on an unannounced IP there. And then now I'm currently working on Halo Infinite there. So want to just talk about what people think QA is. Has anyone here watched Mythic Quest? It's it's pretty funny. And I don't know if you have, you're probably maybe thinking that sounds about right watching that show. Yeah. And honestly, it's meant to be a parody, so it's meant to be all in fun and games, and some of it kind of is. You're like, yeah, that does sound about right. But I do feel like people look at QA and look at this, the QA character, and is like, yeah, QA sits on a couch and eats chips and with their headset on and with a controller playing games all day. It's like, yeah, awesome. But then I kind of just wanted to talk about, more of what QA actually is. If any of y'all recognize some of the stuff on this slide, you might. So we have over here on the right side, Jira. We look at, we're in Jira. Well, it depends on the studio. This is just the project management software that a lot of big studios will use is Jira. So as QA, we're in Jira a lot, making lots of bugs, doing lots of querying, regressing those bugs, reopening them, staying on top of tasks and taking care of those. Then also over here on the left, we got some logs. We honestly, I think more so than people would expect, we're digging into logs a lot. Especially depending on your role. We will read logs for, the backend services in the network, or crash logs. Some companies use crash databases for that, or tools like Datadog, if you've ever heard of it, to store logs. Some you just got to go find that file manually, just got to do that thing. But so we'll get kind of into the nitty gritty there. And big part of our job is obviously creating test plans, sweeps, and test cases for manual testing, which comes from risk identification on features of the game and bugging devs for acceptance criteria all the time, constantly. And at BioWare, we actually used Jira for our test management and our test plans and sweeps. But at CA, we use Excel and the Google Suite. So that kind of just depends on your studio. But we also obviously do a lot of qualitative feedback and competitive analysis on other games in the genre for IPs, if that's necessary. So yeah, and also just this middle GIF is me constantly, probably every day, just running around and figuring out just where we need to test, if we need automated testing, manual testing, harassing other devs, engineers, designers. But I do love all that stuff, so this is all just really these slides are kind of in fun. But yeah, it's just, you can discover in QA roles, like roles that you may have not even know like existed, and just facets of game development you didn't know that you actually really enjoy. So like that's just really cool. So now I kind of just wanted to go into more detail of my roles at these jobs and just the QA experience I had. So we'll start with BioWare. As y'all probably know, it's a AAA studio owned by EA. So when I saw the job at BioWare, I saw it as a foot in the door. Which I think most people see QA as, especially coming straight from school. When I was at UT, nobody talked about QA as a career path or anything like that. Nobody was ever talking about QA in meetings or in classes, and whatever. That's cool, but I just had no idea. And I was like, I knew I wanted to be in the industry, so I just went for it. And I was going to use it as a stepping stone, or that's what I was planning on doing. So honestly, and I didn't have any connections at BioWare. They kind of took a chance on me based off of my school experience and my art background and the technical skills that I had gained through school and AET. And just so I got the job there, and starting at a AAA studio, I had no idea what to expect. Honestly, I was scared. I was very excited, but I was scared. And I really did not know the true day-to-day of a game dev, especially at a big studio like BioWare and being in EA's office. And I felt like I didn't really even know how to use some of the tools, really. I was only familiar with the free tools that we learned in school, like Unity and Trello and stuff. And that stuff's all great. But I just wasn't very familiar with Jira or Perforce or even Confluence. And AAA studios tend to have their own proprietary software as well. So that was another obstacle I ran into. But just being immersed in, I just was kind of thrown in to the wolves and and had to just learn it all on the job, which honestly is okay. Most of your learning and experience comes on the job, and that is okay, and that's where you get your most experience. So we had a small QA team at the Austin studio, and also a team at the Edmonton BioWare studio, which is in Canada. And then also we had outsourced EA QA who was in Romania. So we had publisher QA as well, helping us on Anthem. So I started off as a general tester who helped out any analysts in carrying out their test plans, and just kind of testing all the features of the game. The testers in Austin, which there was about 4 of us, became kind of like a strike team of sorts. You know, we kind of like floated. We did a lot of ad hoc, which is ad hoc testing is basically non-structured testing. And just testing generally broader, bigger features coming down the pipe that needed a lot of attention and manpower, which is typically what teams of testers will do. They're, you know, utilized where on big features where a lot of people are needed. And a few months in, I soon started to become embedded with the monetization team on Anthem. And when I say embedded, I mean, so QA analysts tend to be embedded or like with their feature team so they can get and stay informed on their area and kind of be like their, like the experts, you know, the subject matter experts on their area of all things QA and what's coming down the pipe there. And so they're informed on the changes that are made. And testers can also be specialized to an area of the game as well, you know, to assist analysts. And so, which is what I started to do as a tester with MTX and character customization due to my art background, which was really cool for me because I was super interested in that at the time, and like it was really cool getting specialized on a feature of the game like that. But also in other QA needs, you know, the publisher working at a studio like BioWare, publisher QA took care of localization QA needs, like compliance, you know, to make sure that the game passed Sony and Microsoft standards because that's very expensive to fail those. But yeah, so we would do final full verification passes over the game before it was sent off, and then we had like a lot of help from EA because of that. But overall, Anthem was a roller coaster, as anyone who has played the game might, you know. But I've learned that most projects, no matter what it is, honestly, you'll probably be thinking, what the F, like most of the time, and also feel like that meme with the dog, like with the fire in the background, just like, this is fine. But at the end of the day, like if you don't believe and hope in your own project, like who will? Especially as QA, like you'll probably be the most discouraged because you're just seeing the game break and just like, and especially with my experience on Anthem, sometimes we would go like a whole week with broken builds, just crash. It was honestly a hot mess, but like and we had issues with the game itself, obviously, the development process, and just issues internally. But I wouldn't trade any of it for a second. It was extremely valuable experience, like despite the hot mess that it was, because for my first game, I was just it's extremely valuable experience to work on a game that flops, like because that will happen, like most likely in your career you're going to work on a game that did not do as hot as you hoped it would, and that's just like the reality of game dev. And that's okay, it's all valuable experience. And also Anthem had beautiful art, it wasn't all terrible. And I'm definitely not trying to talk bad about the game, because I definitely have it sitting over there, and I loved working on that project. But I I realized how much insight to the pipeline and development, like the development cycle, I got with the QA experience. I really enjoyed being able to interact with every discipline and team and learn from all of them and their workflows. And as QA, we get to oversee each phase of the development process, as because we have to test and make sure a feature passes each of its gates and goes from functional to shippable. Which, I mean, does it ever really get to shippable? The line's a little fuzzy, but we ensure the best end user experience that we can, along with the rest of the development teams. And I wanted to be a part of creating emotional experience for people with games. And I got to do that, like in this role, and I really learned a lot through that. So now moving on to CA, independent AAA game dev studio. So Certain Affinity has mostly solely done co-development in the past on AAA games, like I'm sure y'all know, like Halo and Call of Duty, Toprak's favorite game, World of Tanks. Certain Affinity worked on that, and a bunch more. And we're actually just now in the past few years starting to delve into IP land. So once my contract at BioWare ended, I knew of former coworkers that had gone to CA. Like I mentioned earlier, an old manager in QA, he wasn't my manager, but he was a manager in the department, is now the director of QA at CA. And he helped me get the job as a tester here. He didn't directly approach me, but he thought that I did a really good job at BioWare, and I reached out to him, and he helped me get the job. And it kind of just reaffirms that, I'm sure y'all have heard this before, once you're in the industry, you're pretty much in. It's a small industry, despite how big it kind of seems. People know each other, and your connections stay super important and tight, and you grow your network tremendously with your first job. Like, no matter what discipline it is, if you start in QA, if you start in your wherever you want to be, no matter what it is, and if you want to move from discipline to discipline, you will make so many connections. It's really valuable. But anyway, so at CA, began on a small team for a smaller codev project that the company had going on, which was the mixed reality project we had, which was really cool experience. But so we're kind of smaller QA teams, tend to divide the work as it comes, and we take on the features together with daily smoke tests. Y'all may have heard the term BVTs, which is build verification tests, or MVP, minimum viable product, and just dedicated test plans as a team. And we'll ad hoc on our own on the project as a whole, or just certain features that we'll take ownership of. But yeah, so that's kind of how it feels to work on a small codev QA team. And soon after that, a few months into my role at tester job at CA, I got offered the full-time position as an analyst. Yay. I actually just hit my 1-year mark pretty recently in February. And at the last February, I kind of began working on an unannounced IP that we were going on. And on that project, we were doing an embed system, like I mentioned earlier. As an analyst, I worked directly with the network and platform team, testing the backend services of the game. And working with engineers that were working on Kubernetes services and matchmaking and social features, anything that touched the platform, I would be involved in. And as mentioned earlier, an embed system for a QA team can be really beneficial, as we can keep close communication with our feature team, and just be in the know and prepared as everything comes down the pipe and what is to come in the future. It also helps to have a QA contact for that feature if any dev or producer needs to know the status of like testing or on that area. But at CA, as opposed to BioWare, we don't have a publisher, and we're just kind of a smaller studio, not having less resources because of all that. We didn't have a team of testers like who I was at BioWare. We didn't have that team of testers to help hammer bugs on our area or section. We had to do all of our own testing. So we would make our test plans as the analyst and then carry out all of our own testing, which kind of tends to be the case at smaller studios. And we'd often have to recruit the help of, other analysts on the team as well. But it's totally fine to do that too. It really just depends on the studio, but that's kind of how a lot of embed systems will tend to work. And now I'm on Halo Infinite, working with 343 and their large publisher, Microsoft. And working in CodeV is different. It's interesting, but because you don't have as much insight as to what's going on in the project, like outside of what your team is working on. And as QA, sometimes the line gets fuzzy of what we all might need to own in the testing, because we might own an area of the game, but there's things inside of that area that the main developer has control of. And it's like, well, this is our map, but like we don't have any control of these assets. It's like, do we have to test the functionality of the warthog? But in Halo, for example, whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. But it's an awesome learning experience getting to collaborate with their studio and QA team when we need to, but also being able to stay independent with our team kind of, and just worry about what our engineers, artists, and designers are churning out, and just bugging the heck out of all of that. And yeah, so we have a lot of exciting projects to come at CA, and much more to learn and grow as a studio. Also, we just won Studio of the Year for the Canadian Game Awards, which is shout out to CA. It's cool. Shameless plug there. But ultimately, the QA structure and experience you have will be largely decided kind of by the company that you work for, the project and type of project you're on, big or small, and your team. But things have changed a lot in the industry over time, like in regards to QA. Most studios try to minimize crunch as much as possible. In my experience, at least, like it is inevitable, crunch is inevitable, but like it's not or at least most studios that I've worked at, maybe I've just gotten lucky. We don't have to do hundreds of hours every week, I think studios are really trying to crack down on that, and not working their QA to death. But especially at CA too. But also just kind of QA not just sitting in the corner like losers, like how maybe it was in the past. QA actually is part of the team. Like the larger team, and we're more than just play testers. You know, we're here to help you no matter your discipline, even though, you know, we're gonna stretch and break your stuff and make you fix it, but like we're your friends. um, but and and QA can be a stepping stone. So like, don't get me wrong, like I totally know people who have gone on to production, which actually is a very common transition from QA. I know a lot of people who have gone from QA to production, and then like development directors or wherever. But also I know people who have gone from QA to designers. I know people who've gone from QA to software engineers. It's okay to use it as a stepping stone. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but it is more than that. If you know, you didn't know, and QA will, and honestly, I really did not know that graduating from school. I didn't think that it was a career, or it could be if you wanted it to be. But it, you know, it is more than just a stepping stone. If you want, like, if you wanted to be in QA, will always be needed on a project, you know, and yeah, it can be a career if you want it to be. And I I genuinely, truly, I feel lucky to be like where I am. You know, I don't ever dread going to work. You know, it's awesome to be able to work in games, and I love it. And so, you know, just whether you're in QA or not, appreciate your QA friends and allies, you know. Like, we just want our voice to be heard too, but we are your allies. You know, we're never QA is friends, not food. But just some final thoughts and advice from me that you can take with a grain of salt if you'd like. But I just wanted to say, you know, when I was where you guys are almost 3 years ago now, actually next month it will be 3 years. Um, I honestly was really low. I was down, um, like at a very low point in my life. I was scared. I felt like I did not have much to offer, and I felt completely lost. I really didn't take advantage of the opportunities that UT and AET and even EGaDS like provided me, truly. And I knew I wanted to be in games, but I just had no idea where I fit in, or even if I even did, like, at all. And I went into the major, so like, I feel this connection, and then I was like, like just dying at the end of it. But you know, I kept on, and even though I'm not exactly where I thought that I would be, honestly, like, I've truly enjoyed all the experiences I've had thus far in the industry. I'm grateful to be where I am. The people I've met, the connections I've made, and the real friends I've made through work in this industry, I felt like I finally belonged when I got my first job at BioWare. And I still do feel that way. I feel like I'm in the industry where I'm meant to be. And yeah. Also, I would just kind of advise to maybe explore industry standard tools if you're not doing that already. I'm sure y'all probably are because you're awesome, but like, I wish I had like, and because I didn't before I like after I graduated or before I graduated, you know, you don't have to use them necessarily because it's hard to access tools that are not free as a college student. But you know, maybe just peek at some tutorials for Jira, Perforce, and tools like that. You know, it might make things feel a little less overwhelming or scary. Like I said, I wish I had done that. Also, I'm not sure if AET still primarily teaches Unity, but I would just really recommend exploring Unreal if you haven't already. Every studio is different. Some studios totally still use Unity, but like at BioWare, for example, they used their proprietary engine Frostbite, but I would say that's much more similar to Unreal than it is Unity. And CA actually uses Unreal for their own like projects. So Just in my experience, having familiarity with Unreal is also very valuable. But every studio can be different. But it's always good to just explore. And lastly, I just wanted to say, be you, be yourself. It can be hard to stay motivated sometimes. I've totally been there. I completely understand. But something that I struggled with is, if you don't invest in yourself, like who will? It's kind of the same thing that I mentioned, way back in the first slides. If you don't believe in your own project, like who's going to? So you just, it's okay to not know exactly what you want. Been there, so, but, and I'm sure you've heard this before. Everyone feels like they're faking it till they make it. Really. Nobody knows what we're doing, especially in game development. It's like a dumpster fire 95% of the time. But everyone stays laughing, whether that be evilly confused or crying laughter. I don't know, but it's usually still a good time along the way. But like I said, it's okay to not know exactly what you want to do. You will figure it out eventually, or we'll pretend like we do. But this industry will force you to continuously evolve, which is one of the really cool things about it, and passion is one of the most important things to but passion can have a limit, and burnout is super real. And it will affect the project that you're on, and more importantly, obviously affect you. So give yourself time to breathe sometimes, and don't lose touch with what brought you here, like brought you to where you are in the first place. But combining creativity with a tangible result is very fulfilling, and awesome. And yeah, and y'all have got this. So yeah, thank you for listening to me speak. I'll drop my LinkedIn link in the chat. Let's see. Let me open up Zoom again. But also, yeah, are there any questions? Oh, geez, yeah. There have been a lot of game-breaking ones. This is probably like very maybe inappropriate. I don't know, not safe for Zoom. But the first one that comes to my mind is on Anthem. How many, I'll just say, inappropriate shapes that I would find because I would test customer or character customization and monetization. The stuff would be sold in the Anthem store. And I'd be like, this looks like a male part, and I would have to write bugs on that in our database. I'd be like, this looks very questionable and inappropriate, and just hope they picked up what I was putting down. And I would, tell my coworkers, and they would be like, yeah, that does look like that. I'd be like, oh my God. Yeah, it's like, oh man, I was that person finding these bugs. Like, oh man. That's what's like. Sometimes that show was on point. It's meant to be a parody, but I'm like, not wrong. Favorite EGaDS memory? Oh man, I was not expecting to be asked. I know, right? Dang. I'm like accessing my memory bank right now. Let's see. Oh, how do I stop sharing, by the way? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, there's my LinkedIn link. I honestly, I don't know if I have a favorite memory. I remember lots of funny memes and like funny memes and jokes with the, especially since Adam was my president at the time, you know, like uh actually what I popped into his meeting just to hear like what he was saying, and he actually brought up when the Discord was first made, all of the like power grabbing stuff that was happening. That was really funny. Yeah, that makes me laugh. Yeah, it was just like everyone trying to take down Adam like at all times. It was really funny, and just like the emojis were great. I loved all of that. Yes, definitely communism. Also, I mean, this isn't like funny or cool or anything, but actually what it's kind of funny now, like when I was in EGaDS as the media officer, Rich Vogel came and spoke at one of our EGaDS meeting, and I made I was the media officer at the time. I made the little meeting announcement for it, and then like just meeting those people at my current job, because Rich works for CA. I'm like, hey, I made this announcement for you. Like that was me who made that when you came and spoke. I'm just like, hey, and like just meeting all these people at my job that I met in school at like recruiting fairs, like from EGaDS and stuff, was kind of cool. It was like, ah, hey, you probably don't remember me, but I totally remember you. That's a secret. Oh yeah, I don't know if I showed the EGaDS shirt I got on right now, but I'm repping EGaDS. Yes. I actually really love this shirt. It's like super cool. Yeah. We got kind of lucky. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Are you selling that EGaDS shirt ever?
Dang, if it's so in demand, I might have to just hang it up on my wall, put it in a frame. You know, actually, I was gonna say we got really lucky with these shirts when I was officer. They just had like boxes of like old EGaD shirts when I was in, and we were like, can we get some of these? And they were like, yeah, let's, you know, I got like 4 EGaD shirts that weren't of my time. I don't know if that's a secret, but it was awesome. And this is one of those shirts. The back is like, you know, all like Final Fantasy stuff, if you can, you know, see it.
It's so cool. I want it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go find it.
Yeah, it was still there at least spring 2019, because I also have a collection of shirts from the Forbidden Box.
Yes, it was in the CS building in like one of those little I don't know, one of the rooms, meeting rooms or something. But yeah, this was like 3.5, 4 years ago. So
We need to find those boxes. I want the Animal Crossing shirt.
yes.
I think I was there when the last shirts were taken, so I don't know if there's any left.
Dang, did they just
Yeah,
get distributed?
Yeah, that's how I have the Falcon one and the Okami one. It's
Aw,
kind of
yeah,
yoinked.
that's
Yeah, I
fair.
kind of yoinked them.
Oh.
I don't. I don't think I got the Animal Crossing and Cuphead shirts. Those were like right after my time or something. But those were super cool. I was like, I saw those and I was like, damn, that's really tight. Can I get one of these shirts even though I already graduated? Like,
We still have like one Cuphead and one Animal Crossing shirt, but I think those are like on the wall of the incubator. Yeah.
That's fair. They got to be the model, the
Yeah.
models. Yeah.
I think I was drawn to EGaDS simply because everybody was wearing the Cuphead shirt.
That
Like,
was a dope shirt. Yeah, that was a really dope shirt. I think Mindy made that shirt.
Yeah, she made that shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. The last time we were allowed to have shirts that were more than like 2 colors. Yeah.
True. Does anyone have any other questions? I'm okay with shirts are. I have gotten a lot of shirts from BioWare. Like I probably have like 7 shirts from like even like I didn't even work on SWOTOR, but like I have like 4 SWOTOR shirts, and like it's awesome. Yeah.
so I had to step away for a little bit, but how has QA been different now that I assume you guys are remote?
Oh yeah, I feel like before obviously COVID, like people kind of assumed QA was like one of the roles that like could never be fully remote. But honestly, it was like at CA at least a really easy transition. We either took our hardware home depending on the project because at CA specifically being a co-development studio, like for Halo Infinite, I have project specific hardware. Like I have a box from Microsoft. So we just take that home, or like if you're working on other projects, you can use your own personal computer. It really just depends, but it hasn't been that hard. It's just we just have to be connected to the office network through a VPN, and we can do our job just the same, just pulling builds, every day. Sometimes maybe our internet's just not the same, but like it's been a very easy transition. And honestly, being in an office again is like, I'm like, what? It's like a foreign concept at this time, but yeah, it has not been bad. It's just build pulling might take a little longer. Everything else is kind of the same. But I do feel like people didn't like think that QA could be like one of those people, like, or one of those like disciplines that could work from home, because we're constantly in the client and build and stuff. But as long as you can access the build farm and like pull down like the builds, it's fine. Yeah, that has thanks, Karina. That has definitely happened before, where it's just like, even with crashes, you're like, I can tell what caused this because like I know how, like looking at the call stack and stuff, you're like, this is clearly caused by this. And also as QA, you narrow down the repro steps and find all the ways you can get that crash. So you're kind of like, this is clearly caused by this, and like blah 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 in the code. But I think that may kind of I've never personally done that myself, like fixing even like something that's very trivial that I'm like, I could literally go in the engine and fix this. But if it's maybe with like a test level or something, or like tools that QA uses, like an automated test, like QA can fix it, like if it has something to do with like maybe our workflow. But otherwise, typically we just leave it up to the engineers or designers who own it, because then that's kind of on them if they mess it up. We just like cover our own cover our own ass. Yeah, because it's like, hey, we know this is super easy, but like, we'll just pass that back to you. And not every bug has to necessarily be tracked, like especially if it's a super quick fix, like network and platform related bugs, like oh, this environment is broken, we cannot log into stable, which is like the stable environment. And they're just like, oh, we just need to flip a switch and like the back end. And so it's like, okay, you don't even need to write a bug for that. Just let this network engineers know, and they kind of just like boop, they do their thing. Yeah, like I feel like I actually didn't write very many bugs when I was embedded with that team, because I would just let them know. It's like, hey, this is going on, and they would just be like, all right, got it. It's fragile systems, but there's always, it's either extremely complicated solution or very, very easy. Yeah. I actually think that probably happens more often than people think. And it's like, like that meme that I put in one of the slides where it was like, what do you say to bug reporters? Cannot reproduce. That that happens all the time. Cannot reproduce. And it's like, damn you. But like, yeah, it's like, oh man, like I'm hitting this crash, but like I can't repro it, or like the maybe the call stack isn't giving helpful information and the engineers don't know what to do about it, and it's very low repro. Sometimes, yeah, that stuff will just get swept under the rug. And that's why sometimes game breaking crashes will just go, like, they'll just be like, yeah, we'll fix that later, put it in the future bucket in Jira. Then the game launches and it's like, oh, since 1% of the QA team was hitting that, like we said a million times, oh, now 10% of the player base is hitting that because they have like 100 times the numbers we do or whatever. So it's actually kind of funny. It's like, I think that happens maybe more often than people think, unfortunately, to our sadness. It's like, we don't want that to happen. You really can't. Yeah, it's like you can try, but priorities. And producers will be like, move it on. Yeah, and I just wanted to say, for if, feel free to hit me up on the through email or on LinkedIn, or even I'm in the Discord too. So feel free to message me on Discord if anyone has any questions they want to ask about QA, or I mean, even being a woman in the industry, I'm happy to talk about that as well. I didn't really like touch on bye Ashley. I didn't really touch on that too much in this, but it definitely is very like relevant, and being a woman in the industry is it can have its challenges. So if anyone has any questions about anything, feel free to hit me up.
Okay, so I'm kind of in class right now, but
love that energy.
So you might have talked about it during during the meeting, but like, what was your experience in AET like while you were in school? Because it's kind of, I don't we're kind of going through some changes and like some stuff. So I was just wondering how it was whenever it was like, just starting out as a program. That's like, I don't know. I feel like it's been interesting the whole time. And positive and negative ways. But I mean, in my experience, it's been pretty positive because I've been having fun. But you know, that's just my point of view so far. But some things are happening. So I just
Yeah,
curious about
I've
things.
I've seen I have no idea most of the context of what's going on right now, but I still kind of do get emails and I am still in the AET Discord. Like not that I ever look at it, but I'm in it. And
Yeah.
like, but I'll get like the at here's and stuff, and I've kind of seen some of the drama, I guess I'd say, going on.
Oh, it's some hot drama.
I'm like,
sorry, go on.
So yeah, so I don't have all the context like behind what's going on right now, but I can definitely and I'm glad that you're having a good time at AT, you know, like, but I can definitely like speak to how it was when I was there. Kind of, and I did mention this kind of like it was pretty bare bones, like I would say. But for me, like I mean, I kind of got into, you know, some stuff when I was a kid, like mostly of exploring art and animation programs and doing like web development type stuff before I was in AET, but like never anything about game development. I had no clue how to even begin like learning about that stuff before AET, just because I didn't know it could be a viable career when I was younger. I just had no clue. And but AT did give me a good foundation. Like it did teach me a lot about just kind of like game development in general and helping me learn like Maya and Unity. I'd never touched those programs before.
Yeah.
And like that was, I don't know if I would have known like where to begin with that stuff. And honestly, having like Maya experience is what kind of helped me get the job at BioWare too. Like just kind of like having that, and also with the creative coding, even though that class I won't speak too much on it, but whatever. But
Whenever
like,
I took it, it was a lot. It was pretty cool, I guess.
it was cool, but it was something else when I was there.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
But it gave me like a kind of like a good starting point to learning more about coding and creative coding in general. Like my senior thesis, like because I did the 2D capstone, and then in my last semester I did my own little independent project. I created a visual novel in the RimPy engine. And I did it all by myself, and like honestly it wasn't that cool, or it wasn't that great, I'll say, but like I was able to do that because I kind of had like those foundations, and I just kind of like self-taught myself like how to like write the code and stuff, and I was into art, so I did all that stuff myself. But it gave me the foundations, and I did feel unprepared when I graduated. Like I said, I was like, I have no idea like what my worth is, you know. I was super just like, oh my gosh, was this a mistake? Like kind of thing. And I did kind of feel like we were like, you know, we were the guinea pigs. We were the first class, like literally the first class to graduate from that.
Yeah,
major.
that's a rough position to be in.
Yeah. And there weren't nearly the amount of cool classes y'all have now, though. Like I have to say, like
yeah, for sure.
Like, and I have seen like some of the drama and like kind of reading that stuff. Like I can definitely see where people are coming from, and I don't have all the context or information, but it has grown a lot as a program. Like y'all have some dope ass classes now that I'm like, damn, I wish I had that. Like I took like, I don't know, like freaking creative coding and like art 101 or something. Like I don't know. I'm like, you know, what is this? But like it, like I said, it was still beneficial for me, and like and I'm glad that I was able to be in AET, but it does require a lot of like kind of self-teaching.
Yeah.
And like doing stuff on the side.
Yeah, that's definitely how I'm feeling about
yeah,
like it's still like that, but definitely better because I think we have like more like experienced like professors coming into the or like the AET department, and it's definitely getting better, and it's like there are definitely still some cool classes that I want to take. I have 1 year left at UT, so it's like I don't know. I'm pretty excited to just be like, oh, what do I want to do for my independent project or like my capstone and stuff. Oh, and
Yeah.
by the way, can you link that that
My-
visual novel?
I'll have to find. I don't know if I posted anywhere online, so I was like, I'm embarrassed. But
That's totally fair though.
like this is I could have done so much. I was such a procrastinator, I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's kind of why I'm scared about doing the independent project, because it's like, am I really diligent enough to like actually do this for myself? I don't know.
Yeah,
Compared
also
to like capstone.
because so I kind of wanted to do the 3D capstone, actually more so, but like I was taking like 19 hours my last semester because I was ready to get out. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
done. I was like, I'm so done with school. And honestly, I can say like job life like is so much better than school. Like as much as I loved the flexibility of college, and UT was extremely fun, and the majors and the clubs I was in, like EGaDS was really cool experience, and which is why I said in my presentation, take advantage of the opportunities that school gives you. You know, like all the events and like, you know, there's all these opportunities just like laid out in front of you, and I was just like too scared to take a lot of them. I did try to take advantage of the career fairs and like and a lot of the like and some of the stuff, but I was I don't know. I really didn't take advantage of it like I wished I did. Like I wish I took advantage of more. And so I would just kind of, you know, recommend that as well. Because that kind of helps with your like self-learning and like building on those skills that you're learning in AET even more, you know. And it also obviously helps like your network and making, you know, networking stuff. But I hope that answer was somewhat.
I mean, I just kind of
helpful.
asked like what your experience was like, and yeah, I would say you answered it
Yeah,
pretty well.
I know that there's some. I'm sorry y'all are going through that. Like, I can definitely like respect how some people are feeling. Like they're like, I am like, especially now that stuff is virtual. Like that's kind of like a whole new. I am so not envious of y'all doing online
Yeah,
classes.
there's
I'm like,
definitely there's some
that's
things to
very
be
tough.
jealous of and some things to really not be jealous
Yeah,
of
because the
about
classes and
things
like
now.
some of the events I've seen, like I'm like, wow, that's so awesome. Like I'm so happy for AET students now. It looks like the program has grown a lot, but I
Yeah,
can
for
see
sure.
how like yeah, it's so tough. I'm sure to do all this stuff virtually, like very very different. Like
Mhm.
and also yeah, there's still that sense there that it's like okay, well like you know I'm kind of having to like do this stuff on my own.
Yeah, it's
But
like yeah.
I do like kind of like agree though with some of the stuff people were saying in there of like it that's kind of just like I guess maybe I'd say like the downside of being in a creative profession like this. It's like it it does take I don't know, that's like the downside of being like in creativity, like
Mhm.
you have to build your skills on the side. Like
Yeah,
you
or
just
it's like
kind of
you gotta
have
have
to.
like the drive to want to do it on your own, like outside
Yes.
of being forced to, because
Yes. Like you have to have that like passion that I mentioned. Like it is
yeah, for
important
sure.
and it's what will like and I was kind of losing that when I was in school and like but I'm glad that like I eventually kind of like stuck with it and found it again.
Mhm.
But yeah, you kind of like you have to have that passion like driving you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that, I mean, when I was reading through what was going on, I was like, wow, there's some points being made, but I think everybody needs to chill a little bit, drink some water, have a snack. It's kind
No,
of,
stay hydrated. That's a great point.
no, yeah, I think we make a point to stay hydrated. And like, I don't know, people were so mad. I feel like we could have, there, I'm, like I said, glad that they were speaking up. I don't think I would have spoken up um like the way they did, but it's like at least they were, because you know it shows that they like really care about um you know their career and like the way that other students will be taking the classes as well. It's like it's respectable, but you know, some but you just gotta be chill about it a little bit. I think both sides, the students and the and Michael Baker, and I guess everyone at AET could, I guess myself included. You know, I've got to drink some water right now, and you know, just to have some meaning behind my words, just to everyone
Taking your
should
own
chill.
advice.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to go. Yeah, I don't have all the information on what's currently going on or the context, but definitely seems like there's some valid points on both sides, and I'm glad you're enjoying AT. You know, that's
yeah, I'm having a great time. I transferred like a couple years ago, and
yeah, like
nice Noah, nice. But yeah, I mean, I'm having a good. I mean, this semester I'm dying a little bit because I'm taking like 4 upper division AET classes, and it's like
project madness.
It's a lot of it's like
Project
only
review.
projects, and
Yeah,
it's like
it basically only becomes projects, but
yeah.
yeah.
Which I mean, it's like I would much prefer a project over like a test that I'm not gonna remember. But it's like, oh, like every second, it's like I could be doing a project, but I think I'm gonna play League of Legends instead, or something, or like I don't know, or like draw something, or do anything else, because you know projects aren't always fun.
Oh yeah.
Though I do appreciate that there are some projects that like that I have a lot of creative freedom, or like it's like actually something that interests me and stuff like that. But feeling fortunate, but also very, very tired.
Oh, I bet.
Okay, only a month left. Only a month left.
Oh, you got it. You're there. You're on the finish line to awesomeness. Because yes, I love being out in the workforce.
Yeah, it just looks so bright on the other, like once that first job is secured somehow, some way, it's like I think things will be chill. Every time I see like a tweet on like game dev Twitter or something, it's always so like, dang, that person made something really cool, or they're doing some pretty cool stuff over there right now. It's like I want to do cool stuff too, but here I am,
Hey,
dying.
you're doing cool stuff though.
My brain is getting wrinkled, but at the cost of my I guess my sleep. Oof.
Man. Yeah, I don't miss those days, but
Oh, I don't think I'm gonna miss these days either.
It'll be all worth it.
No, I'll miss EGaDS. That's it.
Yeah,
that's all I'll miss.
I miss the like cool events and like activities that I had, you know, that like were from my clubs and AET too, and the flexibility of my schedule. That's what I miss the most. But other than that, I'm like, peace, yo. I'm like, okay, horns, but also bye.
Honestly, that's.
But hey, you got it. You're almost there. And everyone who's not a senior, I hope you're having fun too.
Thank you. Cool.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Yes, it was a pleasure being here. I'm very happy. It was very full circle for me. So it was like, this feels like fun and special.